What's up, everybody? James Jackson here. Today we are back again talking about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. I know it's been a long time since I posted my last video on the Pocket 4K. Let me sort of explain to you guys. So I was in the middle of doing testings with this. I was actually working with a friend of mine who owns a production company that shoots on Ursa Mini Pros, and we were going to sort of do some shooting together with the Ursa Mini 4.6K Pro and the Pocket Cinema camera, just to show some comparisons. And in the middle of the shoot, the camera just died out of nowhere. At first we thought, okay, the battery's died. We switched from the normal LP6 battery that comes with it to a Canon LP6 battery, and wasn't turning on. Then I tried plugging it into a wall, still wasn't turning on. So yeah, the camera basically died on me, and nothing I could do would make the camera turn back on. Luckily, Blackmagic was kind enough to help me out with this. I sent the camera into them. They took a look at it, and they sent me a brand new unit. So let me just first say thank you to Blackmagic for helping me out with this situation. They were super helpful, really quick and easy, and were very resourceful with my calls on updates and everything. So big kudos for Blackmagic for that. So I got the camera back pretty recently, and I have to say I've been doing a couple shoots. I actually just got done shooting an event with the camera. So today, for the long sort of drought of footage and videos, lack of videos, I am going to basically go over a slew of things. I'm going to go over power solutions. I'm going to go over rigging. In future videos, very, very, very soon, I'm going to then go into media storage, the gimbals like the Ronin S that I got, and a couple other things, and then definitely comparisons with the C200 and the GH5S. So I want to begin first with the biggest con of the camera, which is the power. The LP6 batteries give you about 35 to 40 minutes of runtime, which is not long at all. So to me, through the time, even when it was gone and what I've had with it, there's been three possible solutions for that. The first one was, well, you gotta buy a bunch of LP6 batteries. If you have all those around, that may be the solution for you. For me, as I mentioned in my video about the ND6 monitor, that wasn't really the viable solution, simply because the risk of missing a moment because you're trying to swap batteries is not worth it. Also, the fact this kind of looks a little bit unprofessional when you have to constantly swap every 30 minutes and switch batteries. So take that as you will, but that's just my personal opinion. And also with the LP6 routes, if it isn't the LP6 that came with the camera, or if it isn't a Canon battery, you are basically playing, from my experience and from a couple other people's experience, you're basically playing a game of Russian roulette, trying to get maybe cheap versions of LP6s, because some of them will not power the camera at all, no matter if you charge it or not. So that's option number one. Option number two would be to go with something like this. This is a rail system with a V-mount lock battery plate. This one is a 160 watt-hour battery. These are actually pretty affordable batteries. This thing only goes for about $150. But as I pointed out, you still have to buy the mount to buy it, and then you got to get the rail system to work with it, and then you can power this way. For me, if you're going to be doing a long, like all-day shooting, continuous shooting, like non-stop continuous shooting for like anywhere between 5 to 10 hours, this is probably the best solution. It's the easiest to deal with. You can go with multiple options. You can go D-tap into the power bank, or you can go with this one. It has an 8-volt outage. You can take the 8-volt wattage out, DC out, and plug a dummy battery into it. So this gives you a couple of variety options. But as you probably mentioned, this is going to really, add the load of what you're going to carry and what you are going to use for, and it's all of a sudden it's a lot bigger. The camera's a lot bigger and lot more longer than probably what you would think for more of a running gun style shooting. But for overall, to me, if you are doing long, serious professional shootings, this is probably the best option. But I know for people that are doing run and gun, this may not necessarily be the best option. Which leads me to the third option, which from my experience is probably the best solution for run and gun type shooters, which is this guy. This is the Core SWX Powerbase Edge battery. This is a battery plate that's sort of it's a V-mount style battery, similar to the one I just showed you previously, but the unique design about this is sort of designed to go under the camera. And what's cool about this one is you can basically put the mount on here, you load it, lock it in, and then what you can do is you could take a dummy battery like this, plug this in, plug it into the battery, and then you can turn the camera on, and as you can see right here, it turns on the battery, and it works perfectly fine. I think this is a great, ideal solution. The battery itself is not too heavy to where, especially if you're using the Micro Four Thirds lenses, it's not going to overwhelm your weight. It'll probably feel like, but you are going to feel like a 1DX. The weight is probably similar as a 1DX Mark II. So if you're used to doing cameras like that, it's pretty much sort of similar in style. But the great thing is that it'll get about 3 hours and 20 minutes of continuous runtime with this battery plugged in. This is actually the solution I used for the event that I shot not too long ago, a party. And I just basically brought the brick. That was like a 5-hour event, and I still have about an hour of runtime left on the battery, and I haven't even charged it yet. To me, is if you are one of these people that likes to travel as light as possible and try to solve a battery solution, this is probably the best ideal. So it's a great solution. However, not all things are great. There's still some cons to it. The con is, like I said, it's 3 hours and 20 minutes, which is a pretty solid runtime. But compared to a battery like this that you will put on the rail, you can probably get about 7 to 8 hours of runtime on this battery compared to the core battery. And the funny thing is, this battery is probably about $100 cheaper than this battery. This battery costs about $260, where this is about $150, $160, depending on where you get it. The other downside is the charging time. So it gives you about 3 hours and 20 minutes of runtime, but you also it'll take about 2 hours to charge the battery. So if you are running a situation where you need to run maybe like 8 hours of continuous shooting, you need to do an all-day shooting, you're probably going to need a second battery, which means you're probably going to spend about another $250, $260, which means you're probably going to spend anywhere between $500, $550 for this camera. But if you are one of these people that is really about, being as run and gun with as little add-ons as possible, this battery is probably going to be the best solution for you and for the camera. Now I sort of want to talk about my setup. While the camera has been gone, I've sort of still been researching what is the best idea for running gun shooting, because I know quite a few of you have been hitting me up asking me what is the best solution for run and gun. What is to do to be going out and just get in any shots. And I believe I've sort of built at least my idea of a great run and gun shooting. So I've already discussed the first piece of this setup. The next piece I want to talk about is this, which is the cage. This is the shape cage for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. I chose this over the other cages, the 8-cent, the Laparte, and the small rig cage for for one really main purpose. The main problem with all these other cameras is is the grip side of the cage. I don't know if I said this enough, but I really love the grip of this camera. I really, really, really love the grip of this camera. I think this works beautifully. The problem with all these other cages is that they drop a metal strip down here, and it makes all of a sudden gripping the camera very awkward, especially the 8-cent. It's just the full body one. Now, if you went with the half cage one, that obviously wouldn't be an issue. The small rig one is not as bad. It's sort of curved off to the side, but it's still, the grip is so perfect to add another metal strip here to sort of make my arm stand out. It just sort of then makes it an awkward thing to hold in my. So I like the fact that it's got this part open, and the fact that it's got a padding right here that if I want to let go, it's sort of like an extra level of security. It still has all the little pieces, and this cage comes with a pin that you can, for the HDMI side, that you can sort of tighten the HDMI cable to. I've taken that out because it's more of a nuisance than what it is, for its purposes. There's one part of the cage I don't like, and that's the bottom part. It's the fact that the cheese plate at the bottom is very minimum. So minimum to the point that it's the main gripe with this is that with this cage, putting this on any basically gimbal system, unless it's the new Tilta gimbal, it makes any one of these, putting this on a gimbal, basically almost impossible, because there isn't enough real estate to adjust without putting a large extra counter. You have to really offset the balance, and it gets really cumbersome. So if you are somebody that's looking for a gimbal solution, and I'll get to gimbals another day, my suggestion would probably go with the small rig cage. One, it is cheaper than this cage, but I like this cage for most of my shooting. The small rig cage, but if you are somebody that really spends a lot on gimbals, the small rig cage is probably going to be much more ideal. It has a ton of cheese plate screws on the bottom so you can adjust the balance a lot easier. And I probably will still get the small rig for the gimbal purposes. So that's that part. The next part is what's up top here, which is something from small rig, which is the NATO rail. This thing is probably about like 20 bucks. No, this is like $14 on Amazon. And by the way, I'll make sure to leave a link in the description of everything that I discussed in this set. So I got the NATO rail here. It's like $14 on Amazon. And then this piece right here, which is the monitor mount. What I like about this is all the other problem is I have to screw on everything, and that's time. And because you have to have the right screw, you got the right tools. This is completely toolish. All you do is just slide this on and then lock it in place. And you're done. And what's cool about the way the monitor is here is I don't even need a top panel because of how light everything is still is. I can lift everything up from here. Next, what I have for terms of my running gun set is the this lens, and I'll talk about this a little bit later in another video when I go deeper into sort of lenses for this camera. But this to me is the best camera to have, the best lens to have for run and gun. This is the Olympus 12 to 100 millimeter f4. It's got almost every sort of focal length you want in one lens. It's got IS, which to me, in my personal opinion, this IS is far better than any of the IS on the Panasonic cameras. They just seem to work better than the on Panasonic bodies. but outside of Panasonic bodies, they don't tend to work that well. Now, the only downside about all of this is, as you will see, it becomes very top heavy. So you're probably definitely going to need some sort of mount to just hold this in place when this happens. But I put this on. Let's put I got this little HDMI coiled cable, which I like a lot better than most HDMI cables, simply because it keeps everything to a minimum. Then I would add the Rode Video Mic Grow. This is still probably my favorite microphone to own for the price of like $64. To me, it's still one of the best, if not the best Rode video mics that Rode has made. I like it. The only one I like better is the Rode Video Mic Pro Plus. That's the only one in terms of sound and quality that I like over this one. So this will work extremely well. It's only $65 on average. Definitely a great thing to have. So yeah, with the HDMI cord, the monitor, the battery solution, this is pretty much all set up to handle a lot of majority of shooting environments. I can do definitely a lot of low budget options. It's a great tool. So definitely really enjoy this sort of setup. So this is ultimately my rig system, and what I love about it is everything is sort of really fast. It's completely toolless. It's just everything slides in, locks in place, snaps in place, and tightens in place. So it's really quick to disassemble. It's really quick to assemble, which is the key thing for me for my shooting habit. Like I said, if you need to go longer, I would say definitely go with like a rod system with a V-mount battery and matte box. That would be the most ideal scenario. But for like run and gun, like minimalist style shooting, this is probably the best case scenario in my personal opinion. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Make sure to leave a like, leave a comment below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you aren't, hit the notification so you can still be up to date on all the things Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. Until next time, take care.